So, you want to overcome anxiety. You're told to just breathe, do yoga, and drink tea that tastes like disappointment. You're told to just be present, but what does that actually achieve? For many, it means you become a very mindful person who is now acutely, painstakingly aware of every single terrifying sensation of an oncoming panic attack: the racing heart, the tightening chest, the dizzying sense of dread. The well-meaning advice backfires, turning your focus inward on the very symptoms you're trying to escape. On the bright side, when you have to cancel plans for the 5th time, you can now write a beautifully worded apology text that perfectly captures your existential dread. You become an artisan of avoidance. But here's the truth that the wellness industry, with its endless stream of platitudes, won't tell you. If you haven't guessed by the title, overcoming anxiety is actually very easy. You've just been sold a faulty product, a set of tools designed for a problem you don't actually have. The problem isn't that you're broken or that you lack willpower. The problem is that your brain is leaking focus and energy on threats that aren't real. This happens because of something called cognitive distortions, errors in thinking that our brains make automatically. For example, a thought like, "This cough is a deadly disease," is a distortion called catastrophizing, where you overestimate the probability of a worst-case scenario, or feeling anxious and concluding, "Therefore, I must be in danger," which is emotional reasoning assuming your feelings are facts. Most advice is vague and philosophical. Be less worried. Thanks, Socrates. I'll get right on that after I finish hyperventilating. Even the scientific advice, get more sleep, exercise, eat blueberries, sounds good, but it's like trying to patch a leaky dam with a Band-Aid. At some point, you have to actually deal with the faulty mechanism causing the leaks. Right. This is the real issue. Anxiety operates in a cognitive loop. It starts with a tiny, insignificant what if. What if I said something dumb in that meeting? What if that person who passed me on the street is mad at me? Your brain, in an attempt to be helpful, treats this imaginary scenario as a real, present danger that needs to be solved right now. This is the core of what cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, aims to address. It recognizes that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. The what-if thought triggers a feeling of anxiety, which then drives a behavior like mentally replaying the conversation over and over, which only reinforces the initial thought. You get stuck. You spend all your energy fighting the anvil at the end of the chain. You try to hold it up, you try to run from it, you try to breathe through it. But the secret isn't to be strong enough to catch the anvil. The secret is to just remove the tiny marble at the very beginning. Anxiety, in a random mood that washes over you. It's a system, a predictable chain of events with a trigger, a thought process, and a response. And like any system, you can analyze it, understand its mechanics, and debug it. You can learn to be your own therapist by developing the skills to change your own thinking and behaviors. Forget fighting anxiety. That metaphor implies a struggle against a powerful opponent, and it's exhausting. Instead, you're going to become a detective. This is the first step in any effective cognitive therapy, self-monitoring. For the next week, your only job isn't to feel better. It's to find clues. Every time you feel that jolt, that tightness in your chest, you're going to stop and ask one question: what was the trigger? Not what you're worried about, but what just happened right before the feeling started. Was it an email notification, a specific thought, a news headline? We're not looking for the why right now, we're looking for the when. We are gathering data to understand the system's inputs. So, you've identified the triggers. Maybe it's opening your work email, maybe it's a news notification. The problem is, once the trigger is pulled, your brain opens a worrying file and leaves it open. It's a learned association. For many with anxiety, worrying becomes linked with countless cues throughout the day, leaving it under poor stimulus control. By 10 a.m., you have 50 of these worrying tabs open, and your brain's CPU is trying to run all of them at once. No wonder you feel exhausted, drained, and overwhelmed. This is cognitive overload, And it's why you feel like you have no mental energy left to deal with anything else. Here's the first part of your new system. You cannot stop thoughts from appearing, but you can decide whether to engage with them. You're going to give your anxiety a formal meeting. This technique is a practical application of a powerful therapeutic tool called stimulus control. The goal is to reteach your brain that worrying happens at a specific time and place, not all the time, everywhere. Pick a 15-minute slot every single day. Let's say for 30 p.m. This is your designated worrying window. When a worrying pops up at 10 a.m., you acknowledge it professionally, almost like an assistant scheduling a meeting. Thank you for your input. We have received your concern and will address this during the scheduled for 30 p.m. meeting. This is a framework for containment, not control. By writing the worrying down and scheduling it, you validate the thought, which tells your primitive brain it has been heard, and you take back control of the timing. You're telling your brain, I will deal with this, but on my terms. Research has shown that this worrying postponement procedure leads to significant reductions in daily worrying, anxiety, and even insomnia. What you'll find is that by the time for 30 p.m. rolls around, 90% of the worries you wrote down seem absurd or have resolved themselves. You've contained the fire in a fireproof box instead of letting it burn down the whole forest. You're breaking the immediate, learned link between the trigger and the anxious response. The second framework is the if-then blueprint. Anxiety loves uncertainty. So, you remove it with a specific, automatic plan. This is a powerful self-regulation strategy known in psychology as an implementation intention. The format is simple. If X happens, then I will do Y. For example, if I start feeling anxious in the grocery store, then I will stop and name 5 red things I can see. If I can't sleep because of racing thoughts, then I will get up and read a boring book for 10 minutes. Research shows that these if-then plans work by creating a powerful, automatic link between the situational cue, the if, and the behavioral response, the then, effectively delegating control of your action to the environment. You don't have to think or decide. You just execute. This is not positive thinking. This is strategic action. You are creating a preloaded response that bypasses the need for willpower, which is often depleted during anxiety. Neurologically, implementation intentions shift brain activity from effortful, top-down control regions to more automatic, bottom-up processing areas. This makes your response faster, more efficient, and less mentally taxing. The physical action, running your hands under cold water, naming colors, getting out of bed, breaks the cognitive loop of worrying. It tells your body, through direct action, that you are safe and in control. This is how you build real, lasting momentum against anxiety, one pre-planned action at a time. Now, for authenticity's sake, let me be clear, this isn't a one-and-done fix. There are days my own systems don't work perfectly. I used to think anxiety was a sign of weakness. I'd get anxious about being anxious, creating a vicious cycle. The turning point for me wasn't finding a magic cure. It was realizing that my anxiety was just a miscalibrated alarm system. My job wasn't to smash the alarm, but to patiently recalibrate it using these frameworks. It's a journey of self-improvement, of learning to become your own therapist. It's about treating yourself with patience and understanding that you are not broken. You are simply redesigning a system that isn't serving you anymore. So let's put it all together, overcoming anxiety, in about some grand, mystical battle. It's about practical life design. You stop being a victim of your feelings and become an engineer of your response. 1. You become a detective, practicing self-monitoring to find your triggers. 2. You build a containment system with the worrying window, using stimulus control to dictate when you engage with worrying. 3. You create an action plan with if-then blueprints, using implementation intentions to automate your response to anxiety. This is about shortening the cycle of panic from hours of suffering down to minutes of strategic action. It's about reclaiming your mental energy and your momentum. The goal isn't to silence the alarm forever. A healthy alarm system is useful. It warns you of real danger. The goal is to teach it the difference between a real tiger and a paper tiger. When you practice these systems, you're not just managing anxiety in the moment, you're actively retraining your brain. You are proving to yourself, through consistent, deliberate action, that you are capable and that you have a plan. You are demonstrating that you can take intentional control of your own psychological journey and become more resilient. Forget confusing theories and temporary motivation that fades when you need it most. If you're ready to cut through the noise and build a life with genuine purpose and direction, you have a place here. We don't deal in platitudes. We provide the tools to help you design a blueprint for your mind. For more actionable frameworks that create real, lasting momentum, subscribe to The Blueprint Life. We post a new video every week. It's time to stop reacting and start building.